to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson makes someone miss. Garrett Wilson's loose to the 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown. Breece Hall cuts up the middle. Breece Hall's loose. Breece Hall's gone. Breece Hall is gone. He walks into the end zone. Josh Allen fires it over the middle. Intercepted. Sauce Gardner picks off Allen. Sauce Gardner, let's go. The rookie picks off Josh Allen. Win it. Get ball. Oh my God. Drops back to pass. He fires it over the middle. Touchdown. Garrett Wilson. The New York Jets tie the football game. The rookie. The Jets win. The Jets win. Ashton Davis. Ice the game. Let's go. And Quinton Williams with the tackle for loss. That's a loss of 5 yards. Josh Allen is going to fire up a bomb. Josh Allen. Sauce Gardner's there for the game winner. The New York Jets beat the Buffalo Bills and improved to 6-3 on the year. Sauce Gardner.
That's how we get on the ball, boy. Yeah.
Yo, Jets Nation, welcome back. We got a lot to talk about. It's the official Aaron Rodgers watch party. We got Ali joining. We also got the man, the myth, the legend, Jack joining in just a few minutes. And man, it's been a long offseason, Ali. And we all just want this damn quarterback situation we resolved so we can stop talking about hypotheticals and start talking about this, We want Aaron Rodgers on the Jets. And we're going to be here, give you guys all the latest news that we're seeing on Twitter. It's been a little quiet in these past couple of hours, but there's a video that surfaced this morning of Robert Saleh and Woody and Joe Douglas and Jaime and all those guys leaving the meeting with Aaron Rodgers. So we're going to give you guys our thoughts. And of course, we're going to be interacting with all you guys in the live chat to really get a good inside information of where the Jets fans' heads are at with this whole quarterback search. And I do got to mention as well, Lamar Jackson. Because I see a lot of Jets fans saying, screw Rodgers, go get Lamar. So we got a lot to talk about in today's live stream. Everybody hit that thumbs up button on your way into the show. Let's get it started. Ali, it's been a while, my man. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm great, bro. I'm ready for Rodgers.
I know, man. It's like you can't get the offseason started because, I'm not even looking at draft stuff, the free agency stuff, because it all depends on this quarterback situation, who we bring in. So the watch is insane right now, and hopefully we get it done as soon as possible, but I think this will drag out.
Yeah, you hit on the nail, man. Usually around this time, I'm making content of free agency. Who are we going to sign? Oh, the draft. Who are we going to draft? I haven't made any videos of that because it doesn't matter until we get our freaking quarterback. And right when we do get our quarterback, whether that's Rodgers or someone else, that's when I'll be starting really talking about free agency because that's the first domino of the fall. But the crazy thing about this whole thing is free agency begins next week. And I actually went on my channel last year to see the content I was coming out with. And I remember for my free agency frenzies live stream last year, I was live for 6 hours. I was like, what? Damn. A year ago, Richie was doing something crazy over there. We were live when we signed DJ Reed, Jordan Whitehead, Laken Tomlinson, CJ Uzomah. I was live during the whole thing all day long. So it reminded me like, all right, I guess I got to do another marathon next week as well. So stay tuned for that. But more importantly, man, everybody in the chat, how are you all doing? I know that you guys are sick and tired of listening to me, listening to Jake Asman, listening to Jet Central, listening to Ryan Jets Talk, listening to Matt O'Leary, listening to the Buffalo Jet Fan, listening to all the great Jets content creators here on YouTube talk about the same topic. I'm sick of talking about it too. I want to just figure out who the damn quarterback is, and now we wait. We sit here and we wait. So, Ali, what's your gut feeling? Because everywhere you look, you're talking about Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. Aaron Rodgers to the Jets. National media, everyone is linking the Jets to Aaron Rodgers. Is your gut telling you that it's going to happen? Or do you feel like this is just one of those moments that it's just too good to be true and it's not going to happen? Is it going to fall through? What's your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, my gut feeling is I think it's going to happen, but I just don't know when. I just hope it's not too late because we need to get free agency started. We need to get the team started as well. So I'm kind of nervous in a way because it's just I've never seen a Jets team actually try to get someone this much. Took a flight and then came back literally the day of. And they're trying as hard as they can because they know they're a quarterback away. This team is a quarterback away from competing and being relevant. So we don't know because Rodgers can say yes, okay, cool, I'll come, but then a couple days later he's like, I want to retire. So we just don't know. It's just he needs to be 100% that he's ready to play ball and he's ready to come and play for 2-3 years or whatever it is he will give us. But he's just ready to play because this team is ready to win. There's players reaching out to him, pretty much telling him, please come to us, because they know what is special about this team, and this team can win games with the right quarterback in hand. So I hope so. I hope it gets solved very soon, because I do not want this leading into free agency, because then we might lose out on free agents, which is not good for us because we're trying to improve as a roster as well too. So hopefully this Rodgers watch ends very soon.
Please end soon. Please, in a good way, right? In a good way. We got a great donation from my man Dallas James Santana. Says, love you, buddy, but no more Knick games, okay? Hashtag Rodgers watch 23. Hey, man, you can't blame me for the Knicks losing last night, because I was at the game against the Celtics last week when they blew them out, okay? So I'm not bad juju for the Knicks, okay? I don't want to hear that narrative. Even though I do go to a lot of Knicks games when they lose, and being at that game when they lost to the Hornets definitely stunk, but we're not talking about the Knicks. This is Jets Media. If you want to hear my thoughts about Knicks Media, that's on my other YouTube channel. But I do want to say, man, thank you for the $5. This is the Rodgers Watch Party 2023. Let's go. What's good, John? Welcome back to the show. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man. I really do appreciate each and every one of you guys. It feels good to have Ali back on the show. We're going to get Jack in the stream in just a few minutes. So we do have the band back together. As you guys know, last year, I believe we had a Monday show, all three of us every single week. So it is great to have all three of us back together. And we appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning in. If you guys could do me a gigantic favor, hit that thumbs up button. We got 39 likes already. Now, I do want to make a poll right now. I want to ask you guys, do you think Aaron Rodgers will be a New York Jet? Yes or no? I want to hear from the people. What's good, Ryan? Welcome to the show. So Megan brings up the next topic that I was about to bring up. A shout out to Megan. The New York Jets restructured CJ Uzomah's contract. And I woke up to this news. And at first, Tom Pelissero reported that it was CJ Mosley. I don't know if you caught that, Ali. And then he deleted it quickly. And I'm like,
yeah,
why
I was actually asleep. I was actually asleep when that happened, so thank God I didn't see it. Or I'd be very confused and I'll get yelled at by followers. But
yeah, I saw it. I was like, CJ Mosley, all right. And then he got deleted. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And then he's like, oh, CJ Uzomah. Oh, okay, big deal. But CJ Uzomah got his contract restructured. And what does that mean? That means that we just freed up cap space. Now, the timing of that is kind of interesting. We met with Aaron Rodgers literally yesterday. And this morning, we restructured CJ's contract to free up some wiggle room. We know that the Aaron Rodgers contract is going to be a lot. And I know that we're not freeing up a ton of money, but I think that the timing of that is definitely interesting. And another thing about that restructure, keep in mind, that really locks up CJ Uzomah to be a Jet for the next 2 years, because that pushes back the money to be guaranteed for the next 2 years, so we can't get out of his contract. So I know a lot of people are like, oh, CJ's old and we're going to move on from him. Nope, he's a Jet for the next 2 years. And we got Jack joining in now. Jack, man.
Yo. What up? How we doing, boys?
We are doing great, man. It's great to have the band back together. We were just talking about CJ Uzomah getting a restructured deal.
Love it.
So, yeah, man.
I hope we use CJ Uzomah a little bit more next year. I'll start by saying that. I'd like to see CJ Uzomah get involved in the offense a little bit more. And I just heard you, as I was backstage, obviously, say that he's going to be a Jet for the next 2 years, obviously, with this, restructuring deal. I'm here for it, man. Let's see what we got out of CJ. Let's really use him. I think he can be, a great weapon for this offense, who is definitely underutilized in his first year as a Jet. So let's see what happens in year 2.
Yeah, man. He's also a selfless warrior. I love CJ Uzomah. The fact that he restructured the contract tells you he's putting the team first. Now, I do want to show you guys video if anyone did not see this. New York Post came out the video of Robert Saleh, Joe Douglas, Jaime, Woody Johnson leaving the meeting with Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to play this video here, and we'll talk about it. We'll find out.
Have a good night. Hey, Mr. Joseph. Is Idol play for the Jets? Can you confirm that? Is Idol play for the Jets?
Imagine this being your job. You just gotta stalk people and point a camera in their face.
Quick question. Is Idol going?
All right. Well, there it is. We got people in California following around the Jets brass. And Woody Johnson's response, and that guy sounded like he's saying Adam, by the way. But Woody said, "We'll see. We'll find out," which I thought was interesting. Ali, what was your biggest takeaways from that little video getting to see the Jets brass?
I mean, it looked like they had smiles on their faces, especially Woody, and had a little smirk going on. So who knows? I mean, you can't really say anything about that because it's just a video of them just walking away and trying to avoid that annoying reporter or whatever, the camera guy. So I think that was kind of what my takeaway is. But it looks like they definitely tried to like get this done. You know, that's what the one thing I'm taking away from is the Jets are doing whatever they can to get him, and doing whatever is possible and getting him comfortable, getting him back in the game of football. And that's all we can do. Again, we don't know what Rodgers is thinking. We don't know exactly. He hasn't even been on any shows, podcasts, or anything like that. So we don't even know like what he's thinking about. So it's hard to tell. The Jets are trying, but does Rodgers even care? You know, there's reports of, oh, he could be the number one target for us. Oh, he could be. The Jets are the best suitors. That's probably the best option for Rodgers. But he might just be like, bro, I just want to retire. I just don't want to play anymore. Or he just goes, I want to go back to Green Bay. And what if there's like a wild card team that just pops up out of nowhere? So you never know with this stuff. And at least the Jets are trying, and that's all we can ask for. But if the Jets kind of lose out on this, kind of be a bullet through everyone's brains, because literally, if we lose on Rodgers, we lost like pretty much the offseason. So,
yeah, very well said. I agree, man. So
unless we get Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, now that's going to be the next topic after Rodgers. So, Jack, this is the first time we've heard from you about the whole Aaron Rodgers situation after the news that we heard Monday. Aaron Rodgers is open to playing with the Jets. And that was a big thing because we never knew. All these rumors, oh, Rodgers, Jets. We're always like, why would Rodgers want to come to the Jets? Well, he's open to coming here. So the Jets fly out to California. They meet with him. And now the question is, it seems like Rodgers is not returning to Green Bay. It seems like the decision for Rodgers is retirement or the New York Jets. So what's your reaction to hear that he met with the Jets in person? He's open to the idea of coming to the New York Jets. And what's your level of optimism of him actually choosing to come here?
Yeah, I mean, not gonna lie, man. At the beginning of this whole process, I thought there's no way Aaron Rodgers is gonna want to come and finish his career as a New York Jet. Why in the world would he do that? Also, following that would just be even more kind of following the path of Brett Favre, which I'm sure Aaron doesn't really give a shit about. But it's just like I figured this isn't gonna happen. It's a total pipe dream. But now that it's a completely realistic option, I still have this weird gut feeling that just with the torture that we've been through at the quarterback position for so long, I just have this weird gut feeling that there's no way Aaron Rodgers is going to be a New York Jet. But it's looking, it's looking likely, man. It's looking very likely. All the reports are coming out from credible sources all across the league. And, to actually see the video of, Woody and Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas leaving whatever, restaurant that was or wherever that was out in California, they're obviously doing their due diligence as an organization. They got to go out there and, make the best possible move they can at quarterback. Derek Carr is gone. I don't think he was comfortable with being the Jets' clear number 2 option behind Aaron Rodgers. So that, good for Derek Carr going out there and signing with the Saints. But now it puts the Jets in kind of a precarious position where I think, Ali, you said it a moment or two ago. If we lose Rodgers now, it kind of feels like we lose the offseason. So I don't think I'm alone here where I say this entire situation just makes me incredibly anxious and incredibly nervous for what's to come in the future for the New York Jets. But at this point, it does seem likely that Aaron Rodgers could very well be the quarterback for the Jets next season. So I'm definitely getting more optimistic with as time passes on and we hear more and more things from different sources out there. And we'll see what happens, man. We just got to wait it out, hope for the best. But it does feel like at this point with Derek Carr gone, Lamar Jackson is still a possibility, but it does feel like the biggest long shot of them all. I feel like it does kind of feel like, in a way, if we lose out on Rodgers, it's a dud of an offseason. So we'll see what happens, but very nervous.
Yeah, the only way I think this offseason would be a positive if we miss out on Aaron Rodgers is if we get Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson is a player that got the non-exclusive franchise tag, and there's some Jets fans out there that's saying, screw Rodgers, go all in for Lamar Jackson, because Lamar Jackson, by the way, the non-exclusive tag, which is really interesting, we would only have to sacrifice 2 first-round picks for him. That's it. That's crazy. If you look at about all the quarterbacks that was traded, like Russell Wilson last year, Deshaun Watson last year, they had to give up way more than what Lamar Jackson would have to be worth giving up on top of a fully guaranteed contract. So do you guys think that the Jets should, consider going after Lamar? Because the big thing about Lamar Jackson is he wants a contract that's pretty ridiculous, fully guaranteed. I love Lamar Jackson. I think he's a hell of a quarterback. I've been defending him. I think that, when he's on the field, he's elite, MVP level. He can get you over the hump, superstar. But his problem has always been durability, and which is why I think the Baltimore Ravens, who, by the way, are a very good organization, are a little hesitant to give him that money. And I also think the Ravens are smart by doing this because they're giving Lamar Jackson the opportunity to go out there and see what his market's worth. And all of a sudden, when they gave him that franchise tag, we saw a report, Falcons not interested, Panthers not interested. All these teams are coming out there saying, yeah, we're not pursuing Lamar, because they feel like they are just giving the Ravens an opportunity to give them a chance of seeing what their market value is. Because say hypothetically the New York Jets negotiate with Lamar Jackson and they sign an offer sheet for 5 years, $250 million, $230 guaranteed, just a random contract. Well, that gives the Ravens a chance to completely match that and sign Lamar. So it's like, where do we go from here? Do we waste our time to just give the Ravens a chance to re-sign him, or do we go all in to get the veteran quarterback in Aaron Rodgers? So what are your thoughts process on that? We got a quick donation from Paulie saying Lamar wants at least a $250 million guaranteed. Yeah, and that's the reason why the Ravens are hesitant to give him that contract, because that's pretty ridiculous in my eyes, especially when you see all the quarterbacks getting paid around the NFL. Deshaun Watson kind of ruined the quarterback market for being straight up. So, Paulie, I do appreciate the $2 donation, my friend. So, Ali, what's your thoughts about Lamar Jackson? Do you think there's any chance that the Jets actually pivot and try to, negotiate with a contract with him?
That's going to be tough because, if there's going to be, I feel like the teams that are saying no right now, I feel like will be interested later on, depending on what they do in free agency or what the asking price is or whatever it is. But with the Jets, obviously Rodgers is the focus. Rodgers is but if somehow that goes down the drain, I would definitely go. You have to make a call, right? You were looking for a quarterback going into the offseason, and I do not want to end up with Ryan Tannehill as my quarterback, because that's just a waste of an offseason where we were thinking of playoffs, and then we were thinking about trying to make the playoffs with Ryan Tannehill. So if you go out with Jimmy G, man, I'm not even comfortable with Jimmy G because of his injury prone. And like his injuries just scare me away. So if Lamar Jackson is actually available in a way where the Jets are interested, they think there's a future there, there's a plan there, go after it, because we don't know what their plan is, what their plan B is. Derek Carr is gone. He's not an option anymore. There's no leverage. If Rodgers went down the drain, you got Derek Carr ready to go. Derek Carr didn't want to wait, and he got his opportunity somewhere else. But the Jets need to strike with Aaron Rodgers, or if that doesn't go through and he retires or whatever it is, you go hit the phone in Baltimore and see what they can do, because I'm not a huge fan of Lamar Jackson coming here. I'm really not. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if it's going to fit the system. I don't think it's going to work in the system, but he's a top tier player. And if they have a plan for him, then sure, I'll definitely go for Lamar Jackson. But I feel like it's a very long shot for Lamar Jackson to come to New York.
Yeah, I think the Lamar Jackson is a very polarizing topic. And I think the only reason for that is because the money. If it wasn't for the money, yeah, 100%. But a fully guaranteed deal for a guy that has not played in the final 5 games of back-to-back seasons, it scares the Ravens and it scares me. But if you're telling me that you're getting 100% healthy Lamar Jackson, then yeah, 100% he's worth all that money. So, Jack, where your thought process on Lamar Jackson? Do you think you'd be comfortable giving him one of the highest paid contracts in NFL history, fully guaranteed deal, and sacrificing 2 first-round picks? Do you think that's worth the price to bring in Lamar Jackson to the Jets with the risk of injury?
It's a very, very tough question to answer, man. All I can really say is that the Jets are in a position where we cannot afford to be picky when it comes to the quarterback spot. You know, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't work out, I completely agree with Ali. You got to go and you got to try to make it happen to get Lamar Jackson. We got to get the best available option at quarterback. I agree with Ali. I don't want to end up with Ryan Tannehill or Jimmy Garoppolo or another filler type guy to hopefully get us to, the next, winner. If that guy even exists, because if we know anything about the Jets, is that we suck at drafting quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers is obviously still my number 1 guy. I think he's a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson. But just to kind of play the other side of the coin, and just get some other points out there on a positive side of Lamar Jackson. Obviously, significantly younger. Yes, the money would be much more, but it's not like we wouldn't be paying Rodgers a shit ton of money as well. And also the thing about getting a guy like Lamar Jackson is the window to win is so much bigger. And I'm still, on record, Rodgers is my number 1 guy, but I think that, to write off Lamar Jackson, and I'm not accusing you of doing that, Ali, but there's plenty of people out there in the chat right now, plenty of people on Jets Twitter saying Lamar's a bum, whatever. Definitely not a bum. Former MVP, 26 years old. Extremely talented player, top, at least a top 7 quarterback in the NFL. And I think the window is incrementally bigger to win. I also think Lamar would be a better locker room guy than Aaron Rodgers with the current New York Jets. I still want Aaron Rodgers as the quarterback next year, but I think there's a lot more positives to having Lamar Jackson as our quarterback than people are thinking about just when they hear the idea off the rip.
Yeah, if we land Lamar Jackson, I'd be the last person to be complaining. I'll just say that much. I would be ecstatic that we just got an MVP in the prime of his career, and we just got a freaking franchise quarterback. So, at first it was Derek Carr or Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson. Derek Carr's off the table. So now it's like, okay, give me Rodgers or Lamar. I think Aaron Rodgers is way more likely to be a Jet than Lamar Jackson, which is why he is the topic of this video, the topic of this entire discussion amongst the fan base, because we literally just spoke with the man. But I guarantee you that the Jets are doing their due diligence with Lamar, and they're probably, talking amongst themselves like, okay, should we negotiate with him? Because, that's definitely a good talking point. But, the whole weird situation with Lamar is just really complicated in the matter of how you acquire him, because the Jets could waste their time, giving him an offer sheet, and Lamar signs the contract with the Jets, and then the Ravens can just match it. And then all that work that they did was for nothing. And that's what a lot of teams are worried about. They don't want to waste their time negotiating with Lamar because they feel like the Ravens are just doing it in a way where, they're using other teams to see what his market price is, if that makes any sense. So that's why a lot of teams are hesitant to do that. But if one team that I'm worried about getting him, to be honest, actually 2 teams in the AFC East. I'm scared of the Miami Dolphins and the New England Patriots to somehow get him. I don't know if that's going to happen. I don't think it will, but it just scares me. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully, if anything, if we don't get him, he stays with the Ravens or he goes elsewhere.
I still think the Ravens would be absolutely out of their minds to not sign Lamar Jackson. I mean, like you said, they're a good team. They're in the playoffs every year. But, let's face reality. What were they won in 2008, right? So it's been, 15 years since their last Super Bowl victory. Yes, they're the model of consistency, but they want to get back to the big game again. They want to win Super Bowls again. They obviously know the quarterback is the premium position of the league. So if you have a guy like Lamar Jackson, and yes, you'd want his, postseason record to be a little bit better at this point in his career. But, he has the MVP accolades. He has the raw skill. So I think that Lamar Jackson is probably going to end up just remaining a Baltimore Raven. But let's see him on the Jets, baby.
I agree. I think this whole ploy is for the Ravens to benefit from showing Lamar, like, okay, you want this amount of money. We want you back. We'll allow you go off, like, see what other teams will offer you, but we're still going to resign you eventually. And for the people who are saying Lamar's ass and Lamar's a bum, that man's 45-16. I'll say it again. He's 45-16. Hello, wake
There
up.
you go.
That's called elite. But let's flip it back to Aaron Rodgers. So, hypothetically speaking, we land him. Whoa. Okay, now we're in the mindset. We got Aaron Rodgers. We're happy. Woohoo. What's this expectations going to be for the season? Because I think the expectations are going to be the highest it's ever been in my lifetime, at least in the last 15 years for sure. And what I mean by that is expectations to not only make the playoffs, well, that's going to be the baseline expectations to make the playoffs, but I'm going to have expectations of winning the division. I think the AFC East has a chance to be the New York Jets division. And we got Dolphins fans and Bills fans in here. Yeah, right, Richie. Right? We beat the Bills with Zach Wilson. We almost beat the Bills with a broken rib, Mike White. We beat the Miami Dolphins with Zach Wilson, and we couldn't beat the Dolphins with Joe Flacco. If we had a quarterback against the Patriots for both of those games, we would have swept their asses. So, yeah, give me Aaron Rodgers. I think we have a chance to win the AFC East. Am I getting ahead of myself? Maybe I am. But I'm also going to go out on a limb and say this. If we get Aaron Rodgers, the New York Jets have the best quarterback in the AFC East. Ali, what are your thoughts?
If Aaron Rodgers is going to be the best quarterback in the AFC East,
he would. Do you think
by a landslide, or I don't know by a landslide.
I don't think by a
Josh Allen would
landslide,
give
but
him
after
money.
what I saw from Josh Allen last year, I can say that comfortably.
Yeah, if you're talking about experience, for sure. We have a more experienced quarterback, and who knows how to win games and knows how to be consistent.
Too. I mean,
no matter how it
he's
is.
1 year removed from back-to-back MVPs. I mean, what has Josh Allen done? Seriously.
I think Aaron Rodgers is just a better quarterback in general. I know Josh Allen's younger. He's got a different skill set than Aaron Rodgers, but I still think, experience aside, right now, I think Aaron Rodgers is still the more skilled quarterback than Josh Allen.
For this upcoming season, I don't know. I just feel like Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback.
Yeah, no, I feel like definitely what Josh Allen's doing is trying to replicate Aaron Rodgers' playmaking ability. He's trying to be like Aaron Rodgers. The play style, the way they play together is kind of similar in a way. So obviously Rodgers, I guess I would give him the doubt. But the thing is, I don't know how much is left in the tank for Rodgers. I don't know what we're going to expect. I expect us to go to playoffs. If we do sign him, I do expect us to go to playoffs. I expect him to compete, even going to the big game, honestly. Because I think that if we stay healthy, our team is capable of winning ball games and making it there. And I feel like they're still going to make some moves where we can get some veteran guys in, and then you can make a run for it. So the division, definitely up for grabs. If you have Rodgers as your quarterback, definitely up for grabs. I think this is the year, if we get A-Rod, this is your chance of getting that title again, of getting that title that you won the division, because for a certain point, we were kind of close last season, and we kind of were pretty bad later in the half season. We were kind of in it still for the division. So if you have consistent play, which Rodgers will bring to you, you have a chance of winning the division. And, the best thing is that we need to start winning division games. That's the big thing, because we just have not been really great with division games the last couple of years. And that's the big one right there. And with Rodgers, he knows how to kick ass in his division. He's kicked ass with the Bears. He's kicked out with everyone in that division, and he's ready to roll. And I feel like everyone's going to come with bad blood against him in our division for sure. Dolphins are going to come out of there. They're a good team over there. Bills obviously are relevant every year now. The Patriots are the only team that's kind of like, we don't know what to expect from them, but they're always in the mix. So if Rodgers comes in and he can just play at a little bit better quarterback play, the Jets could be a team that no one ever expected, not even us fans.
Yeah, I think also, this is the first year where the AFC East is kind of open for grabs, where there's not one team that's going to be the heavy favorite to win it. Like last year, everyone was like, the Bills are winning the division. There's no competition. And they did that. And I think the Bills will be the favorite again to win the division. But I think the Miami Dolphins are going to improve. I think with Vic Fangio, I think their defense is going to be a lot better. I think, depending if they keep Tua or not is going to be dependent on that team. But I think the Dolphins are going to be a better team. I think the Patriots are going to be better. And I think the Buffalo Bills, I'm not trying to talk my crap. I'm just saying how I feel. I just feel like their window is kind of slowly closing. And I think that their chance was kind of last year. And I don't think they're getting better, such as the Dolphins, the Patriots are getting better, and the Jets. So that's why I feel like the AFC East is kind of up for grabs in terms of whether it's the Jets, Dolphins, or Patriots to kind of reclaim the throne as the division winner. So, Jack, what's your thoughts about the AFC East if the Jets do get Aaron Rodgers, and where you think we can compete within a division?
I agree with everything you just said, man. I feel like it's totally up for grabs. I feel like the Bills, not that it's hard to say that the Bills are on the decline. I can't really go that far and say that just yet. But I think, if the Jets do land an elite quarterback like an Aaron Rodgers, like a Lamar Jackson, I think that, with what we saw last year, beating the Dolphins, beating the Bills once, and, I'll still never forget the 2 nightmare losses against the Patriots, obviously. But I think that it puts us in an incredible position to not only win games against the division, but win the division. And that would be a dream come true for all of us. So, everybody, we've been saying it all offseason, and it's not just Jet fans that are saying it too. There's people that are Dolphins fans and Patriots fans and Bills fans in the chat today that are saying, you guys are a quarterback away. Somebody just said we're more scared of you getting a quarterback than you're scared of us. And I believe it was a Dolphins fan. And yeah, I think that, if we were to land an Aaron Rodgers, it totally puts us in that position to go out there and compete for the AFC East for the first time in I can't even remember how long. So hopefully it all works out. But I think with the way the defense played last year, getting some key pieces back on offense, Breece Hall and AVT, Garrett Wilson really proving that he's an absolute stud. I think we still have untapped potential in Elijah Moore. I think this the offense with that elite quarterback can be just as scary as the defense. So yeah, I think that the Jets do absolutely have a chance to make things happen within the division and hopefully in the postseason next year.
And to put things more into perspective, the Jets were so good in the first half that they lost 5 straight games and they still had a chance to make the playoffs. I mean, I'm not saying it's a good thing that we lost all those games, but that just tells you how close we were and how we were a quarterback away, because the reason why we were losing is because we didn't have a damn quarterback. And if you put a quarterback on that team last year, and even put like a mediocre guy like Tannehill or Jimmy G, for example, 2 guys that we'd prefer not to have, but you put those quarterbacks on the team, we're in the playoffs as a wild card team. We are. And because the defense was that good, because the offensive line, the run game was that good. And that is telling you a lot. So you add a future Hall of Fame quarterback to that team, the opportunities are freaking endless. Absolutely endless. And we absolutely blew out the Miami Dolphins in week 5. And then in week 17, we had Joe Crappy Flacco out there and a team that lost 5 straight. We didn't have anything to play for, so we lost that game. Who cares? The Patriots game, those 2 ones were tough. Tough. We're all thinking about that John Franklin Myers roughing the passer, Michael Carter II, pick 6 gets called back. That was kind of the turning point of the season, to be honest. And then that 3-3 nightmare against the Patriots in Foxborough, defensive battle, and then a punt return. I mean, you get a quarterback, we're going to win, I think, both of those games, or at least have a better chance to win those games. And then we beat the Bills with Zach Wilson, almost beat them with a fractured rib, Mike White. So that just tells you that this Jets team, and what was a big thing for the Jets last year amongst the fan base, and of course, more importantly, amongst the Jets, was closing the gap in the division. And I think they did that, because put things in perspective, guys, the Jets were 0-12 in the AFC East for 2 years. 0-12, 0-6, and 0-6. That was terrible. So the fact that we were able to get the monkey off our back and start winning division games is big. And I absolutely love it. So I think that within the division, we have a big time chance to make things happen. Now, talking about other individual players, how Aaron Rodgers will implement that. So Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback. If you give me a 17-game season with Aaron Rodgers and a 17-game season with Garrett Wilson, I'll go out here and say it. I think he could be a top 5, top 7 wide receiver in the NFL. That's how good Garrett Wilson was last year. And that's not a bold take, by the way. 1,100 yards, 83 receptions with 3 bad quarterbacks. As a rookie, by the way. That's what Garrett Wilson put up. So you get Garrett Wilson in an offense with Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers.
1,400 yards,
bro. I mean, it's that simple.
13 tutties.
And I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to develop Garrett Wilson in a way of giving him all the insight of what Davante Adams and him did. Because if you watch Packers games when Davante Adams was there, what made Adams so special, besides his physical talent, was his mastery of having a connection with the quarterback, where Aaron Rodgers would look at Davante Adams. They would see something the defense is giving them, give him a signal, and Adams would know exactly what to do, and he would get open. He would read what the defensive back would do, and then they had that amazing chemistry. And I think Garrett Wilson has that ability, and Aaron Rodgers will get the utmost potential out of Garrett Wilson. So look at Justin Jefferson, look at Jamar Chase, look at, all these wide receivers that are impacting the game immediately as rookies in year 2, year 3. Garrett Wilson's in that conversation, and he proved it by winning the Offensive Rookie of the Year with 3 different quarterbacks. We got a nice $10 donation from Crossbone97. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate that. I've been a Jets fan my whole life. I'm 25, and the Jets hasn't made the playoffs since I was in 7th grade. To put that in perspective, I've been out of high school for 7 years. It's rough out here. Well, Crossbone, Jack and I are 1 year younger than you. We are turning 25 next month, but we were born in 98. So we're right there with you. Ali is right around our age as well. So we know what this is like, Crossbone. We know it. We know it. Jack, what's your thoughts about Crossbone putting things in perspective of when the last time, this is kind of like encompassing our life as a Jets fan, because usually we hear, the older Jets fans that are, that's seen it since the Joe Namath era, but this is someone that's, experienced the Jets just like us.
Yeah, it makes me feel like shit. It makes me feel horrible. Sorry, Crossbone. That's all I could say. But yeah, we're right there with you, man. It's been tough, but hopefully we're on the up and up, and we're turning this thing around.
What's your thoughts, Ali?
That was perfectly said. You gotta keep it real, man. Gotta keep it real.
We need to freaking just, and this is the perfect example why we are so passionate as a fan base, because people like Crossbone, people like myself, people like Ali, people like Jack, and everyone in the chat, why are we watching this team? And why do we care so much about this team if they've done nothing but give us misery? Right? It's because we're loyal. What's Ali's name on his whole thing? Loyal NY Jet fans. We're loyal to this team. They don't give us anything back in return, at least not yet. And we still love this squad. And that's what makes this fan base so unique. That's what makes them so different. And when we do turn it around, man, it's going to be a different animal. This fan base is going to be looked at, because if we do get Rodgers, is another thing that's going to be fun, is we're going to be on all primetime games. All of a sudden, we're going to have Sunday night football games. We're going to be in the bright lights, and that's crazy. So the next topic I want to bring up is, we talked about the expectations of potentially winning the division and all these things. What that comes with is pressure. Because when you have high expectations, that rises the bar of pressure. When you're on the prime time, when you have Aaron Rodgers, when you have everyone in the NFL media. I mean, I heard people on ESPN saying, if the Jets get Aaron Rodgers, I'm picking them to win the AFC. So it's not even just me as a Jets fan being biased and saying it's going to happen. There's NFL analysts that are unbiased towards the Jets saying that the Jets roster is that good with Aaron Rodgers that they can win the AFC East. That tells me that the expectation is going to be so high. So the pressure is going to be crazy. And not only the pressure of that, but the pressure of Robert Saleh, because this is kind of his last chance to prove that he can be a winner with a quarterback. So, Jack, what do you think this team is going to look like under pressure? Because with those expectations comes with pressure. We're going to be expecting playoffs. It's going to be a week in, week out type of thing where we expect not excellence, but we expect wins. We expect to be in every game, winning almost every game. And how do you think they're going to be able to handle that pressure? Because we are a very young team mixed with good veterans. So I feel like that's a good duality, right? We got CJ Mosley to be that captain to really hold the defense accountable. We got some veterans on the offensive line. It's a very young team, sprinkled in with some veterans, and you add Aaron Rodgers. How do you think they'll handle that pressure that comes with those high expectations?
Yeah, we're kind of in an interesting situation, because this is a do or die year for Robert Saleh. I think for Joe Douglas as well. But here we are with new blood in the building, like Nathaniel Hackett, and then let's just keep the ball rolling. Let's say it's Aaron Rodgers. It'll be his first year as a Jets quarterback. But that doesn't really change the fact that at least for the head coach's sake and for the general manager's sake, this team needs to, win games and make it to the postseason this year, and not next year, not the year after that, this year. So they're gonna have to handle the pressure. I don't know, how well they're gonna be able to do it, if at all. The evidence, at least the recent evidence, kind of goes against the current regime. It's never a good look to lose your last 6 games of the season, and what should have been a surefire shot at the postseason was squandered after the bye week. So this team still has a lot of work to do. So we do find ourselves in a situation saying, we're ready to win now. We're ready to win now. There's going to be a lot of pressure on all these players, but especially Joe Douglas, to, nail another offseason, including this upcoming draft. And, Robert Saleh, most of all, I think this is, year 3 for Robert Saleh. He has to, get to the postseason this year. So there's going to be a lot of pressure on this entire organization.
Big time expectations. Ali, how do you think they're going to handle the pressure if we do land Rodgers, of being able to live up to those expectations with the pressure through the roof?
I mean, we just can't overthink it. I think a lot of fans are overthinking, especially like with the Rodgers signing. He's Aaron Rodgers still, and he's probably the best quarterback we've had in the last 10 years, even if we sign him. So he's a guy that obviously the coaching staff knows what's at stake. They knew that last year was a disappointment. Joe Douglas also knows that was not what they're made of. They're aware of seeing from what the other respectable teams that they were at. They don't see this losing of how they've been losing, and they saw that the Jets have a lot of potential. There's still a lot of young studs that act like they've been veterans in the league. Garrett Wilson, one of them. Javere Tucker, one of them. Breece Hall, and they're all young players. So I believe they want this. They want the spotlight. They want to be recognized, and they want to be shown as a team that, they can win. They can win some ball games, and they want the bright lights, because I feel no one knows what the Jets of what we see from the team and what we saw last year, what potential they had, because there was no primetime games. No one really saw that. No one really saw what the Jets team, and no one paid attention, because they looked at the record at the end of the year and they're like, oh, they're still garbage. But no one saw the early strides of what they had in the beginning of the season. They just looked at what the end score was, who their quarterback was, and then called them trash. So you just have to look at, if Rodgers comes in, there's going to be a lot of pressure, but I think this team is ready to go. I think this team is ready to play with the bright lights and play with whoever is the competition at that time. And AFC is getting a lot more hard. Like, there's a lot of good quarterbacks here. Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, depending on where he goes. There's a lot of quarterbacks in this division. Justin Herbert. There's so many in this conference. So
Mahomes.
We got to figure out what's going on. And if we want to compete with them, you get Rodgers. Do not overthink it, because a lot of people are just overthinking it. Get your guy, get him on your team, and let's roll. And I think they have a game plan for it, because, again, like you guys have said, the jobs are on the line. And if they do pretty bad this year, they'll be on the hot seat, and they'll definitely be discussed through the next offseason if they will get fired. This year is going to be a very important year for the Jets to get back on track.
Yeah, and I think the Jets have the players to shine with these pressure on them. Like, I feel like Sauce, for example, and Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, just to talk about the rookies from last year, they kind of have that mental makeup to be hungry for that pressure and excel with that type of pressure, where because the great ones are the ones that take that, those big games and play their best. And I think those guys have that mentality to be able to handle it outside of their physical gifts. Paulie with another donation says, wanted to pay money to say Fins Fan 7 sucks. Well, he's a passionate Dolphins fan, man. So he's allowed to talk his crap. And one thing I'll say is I hope Tua is your quarterback next year. As a Jets fan, that's what I'm hoping for. I hope that Tua Tagovailoa is your starter next year. 100%. That's what I want.
Oh, that's great.
And also, I just want to address, it was a Bills fan. What have the Bills done? What have you won?
Dude, the Bills suck, dude. The Bills, it's so funny to me how Bills fans think they're riding high. The Bills were supposed to have won the last 3 or 4 Super Bowls and have done shit. and it's hilarious. And their whole legacy is failure. Their whole legacy is losing games when it matters the most. So you know what? F the Bills and the whole region of Buffalo, New York. It's a sad, gray region.
Do you have firsthand experience there, Jack?
I do, as do you. And you know what? It's hilarious to me.
I had to bring that up because I knew Jack would do exactly just that. That whole rant he just went on. That's the only reason why I highlighted that comment, to be honest. So yeah, man, it's all love within the AFC East, baby. Let's do it. But listen, man, I don't know when this news is going to break about Rodgers' decision, and it's kind of really stressful, to say the least, right? Because we're waiting to hear if he was going to retire or not, and that's still a possibility. That terrifies me. That freaking terrifies me that the Jets can miss out on Rodgers. And I don't even want to talk about the hypothetical of where would they go if Rodgers doesn't come to the Jets, because we're on the mindset that he is coming to the Jets. But Ali, I know we haven't really talked about, and we even said at the top of the show that we're not even thinking about free agency or the draft. But let's talk about that. Free agency starts next week. And the Jets don't really have a lot of money to like go out there and make big time moves everywhere. But say the Jets do land Aaron Rodgers, where do you think they're going to go in free agency, right? First start with, are we going to re-sign anybody? Quincy Williams, free agent. Quan Alexander's a free agent. You know, there's a lot of guys that Sheldon Rankins probably is going to move on. Nathan Shepard. There are some guys that could potentially be walking. So just from free agency perspective, not even talking about the draft yet, what type of positions do you want the Jets to address? Who do you want them to re-sign? Is there anybody in particular that's available that you would want the Jets to pursue?
So the position I'm honestly looking at, if we do get Rodgers and whatever it is, obviously we definitely need another wideout no matter who the quarterback is. I definitely need another wideout on this team. Because we obviously Garrett Wilson is solid. I do think Corey Davis will get cut and be a cut casualty, or maybe even a trade with the Packers. I think he could be included in that trade. Because if that happens, Packers do need wideouts for Jordan Love. So Corey Davis would be perfect for them if we shipped him out, and we don't really need him right now. I'd rather go with Elijah Moore, Garrett Wilson, and then I don't know if I want to give Denzel Mims another shot, but go for it. And you just go get another wide receiver. And, you know, if Rodgers comes, you have to think about it and be like, is Alan Lazard following him? Is he coming to New York as well, just following Rodgers? And
don't sleep on Randall Cobb.
And Randall Cobb, you never know, man, because he wants his veteran wideouts out there, and he got guys that can still play and move the chains. So wideout is definitely, offensive line is definitely going to be looked at either through the draft or free agency. It's going to be very interesting what they do with the linebacker position, because they're obviously asking for pay cuts for a couple of these guys, like one this morning with CJ Uzomah. And I want to see what they do with Quincy. I want to see if they bring back Quan, because he had some weird messages on Twitter that he was tweeting out, and a lot of people thought he's just not coming back. So there's a lot of decisions, but I think they're just so focused on Rodgers right now and getting him on the team, and I just don't know what their plan is. I don't know what they're trying to do here. But they have to understand the wideout, the offensive line protecting Rodgers. He's still pretty old. He can get hurt, and we pretty much have to go ride back with Zach Wilson. And I don't want to do that right now. So you got to protect him, get him more weapons, get whatever you can. Work on the safety position, which is very important. You have solid cornerbacks. Go get safety help.
Hey, not solid. Great cornerback. Sorry.
Great. Okay, solid. And you know what? I think the Jets team is in a way where they're ready to win now. Honestly, they just need to do a couple more depth pieces to get some starters, and they're ready to win. But they just need that quarterback, and that's what they're focusing on right now.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I think this free agency is going to be so interesting to figure out who gets cut or not. We haven't made one cut yet. And the big one that everyone talks about is Corey Davis. And I'm on the limb of, I think Corey Davis would do pretty well with Aaron Rodgers, to be honest. And if you get rid of Corey Davis, okay, what are you going to do with that position? You got to add another receiver, right? Like, you got to add that. And then another cap casualty could be Braxton Berrios. If you move off of both Corey Davis and Braxton Berrios, then that's giving you 2 holes at the wide receiver position. How are we going to address that? Is it you bring in another free agent and you draft one? What's that wide receiver position going to look like? I'm definitely in the preference of adding another big time receiver to this team, but not like a super expensive one or anything like that in free agency. I feel like that's only if you move on from Corey Davis. I'm on the fence of keeping Corey. I know that might be a bold take, but I think that he's a veteran. He's a leader in this locker room, and I think that his drops are a little blown up in my eyes. I think that his positives are way better than his negatives. I think that people hold on to those negatives a little too much, and I think the positive outweighs it because he has a lot of clutch catches. He's really good blocking, and I know it's not a special thing that some Jets fans care about, but blocking at a wide receiver position is crucial, especially for a team like the Jets that are a running first team, especially with Nathaniel Hackett. If anybody knows what Nathaniel Hackett brings to the table from scheme-wise, he wants to establish a run game. The running attack is his priority, and you got to have run-blocking wide receivers. Denzel Mims, he's an excellent run-blocking wide receiver. If you guys remember the Breece Hall 62-yard touchdown against the Broncos, that would not have happened without Denzel Mims flexing on him and absolutely destroying the cornerback and opening up the hole to Breece Hall. So I'm hopeful that they keep Corey. But if they don't keep Corey, then you got to go out there and get another big-time receiver because you got to get as much weapons as possible for Aaron Rodgers. And I think Elijah Moore is going to be a freaking star. I really do. Like, I see so much greatness in Elijah Moore. All these Jets fans were so excited about that man. He had a great rookie season. It fell short with an injury. Last year was such an interesting thing with Elijah. We're requesting a trade. He obviously did not have a good relationship with LaFleur. He's gone. Get him a good quarterback. And you don't really have to talk about Garrett Wilson. We already talked about that, man. And then when it comes to the tight ends, that's all settled. The offensive line, something that's not talked about that we didn't really bring up, Dwayne Brown's returning. And I think that's a big talking point because that's another offensive tackle coming back. So we got Dwayne Brown, Mekhi Becton, and Max Mitchell. 3 offensive tackles going to be here next year. Now, where's that 4th one coming from? Are we going to go out there and draft one high still? Or are we going to go out there and get a free agency? Mekhi Becton looks like he's in hell of a shape, and his mindset looks very good. I know it's a lot to ask for Mekhi Becton to be, or should I say, like, put faith in him to be healthy and all season long. I think the Jets are going to have some insurance policy at the offensive tackle position, but best case scenario, he's starting at left tackle or right tackle for the New York Jets. So I think the more question of the offensive line is the center position. Connor McGovern, he's the best center available in free agency. So do you re-sign him or do you go through the draft? Because if you don't re-sign Connor McGovern and you sign someone in free agency, you're getting worse at the position unless you draft one of the better centers in the NFL draft. But then that comes with Aaron Rodgers, because if we get Aaron Rodgers, we don't have the draft capital to do that. So it's a very complicated, situation that all the people that the Jets are going to have to consider this offseason. So, Jack, I want to get your thoughts about the Jets' moves in free agency in the NFL draft with the hypothetical scenario of us getting Aaron Rodgers. Are there any position groups that you think that should be a priority? And some position, we have to re-sign potentially Quincy, Quan. The interior defensive line, I think, is one of the most not underrated, but one of those positions that is a lot bigger need than people think, because we have Quinnen Williams, who's a dog. But outside of Quinnen, Rankins is a free agent. Shepard's a free agent. We don't really have depth at that position as much as we would like. So, Jack, what's your thoughts about the free agency coming up next week and where you want them to address?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it all starts with the quarterback position. So, hypothetically, we're talking about if Rodgers was the guy. And obviously that's going to cost, premium draft capital. Say goodbye to that 13th overall pick. So, I still think we obviously have to prioritize offensive tackle. I like the idea of re-signing Connor McGovern. As you said, he's the best center available in free agency. And without those, higher draft picks, it's going to be tough for us to potentially get better at the center position through the draft. As you said, we're not going to be able to do that through free agency. But obviously, if we're going to bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who is, up there in age, doesn't have the mobility that he once did in his game, we're still going to have to find a way to prioritize the offensive line. So Joe Douglas is going to have to work some magic and do that. On the defensive side of the ball, the one position at least we know we don't have to worry about is the cornerback spot. I mean, how good does it feel to have 2 bona fide studs in Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed locking it down. I'll throw Michael Carter II's name in there as well, who played a lot of really, really, really solid football for the Jets last year. Yeah, that feels very good. But obviously, Quinnen Williams is going to have to get a bag. It's going to be, interesting to see what happens with a guy like Carl Lawson. What are we going to do, on the edge if we were to let a guy like Lawson go? But it does free up some cap space. We're definitely going to have to take a look at the safety position, whether that's through free agency or through the draft. And then the linebackers is really interesting, man. I would love to find a way to retain both Quincy and Quan Alexander because they both played really well for us. And I just think, going into, a new season with, as much of the same personnel as you can is obviously, the way to go about things, especially when the defense played as well as they did last year. You want to keep that gelling. And I think that, it's obviously, when you're going after a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who's going to, require you to give up a lot of assets, it gets tricky to build up the rest of your roster. But, I think Joe Douglas's tenure as the Jets general manager so far has given me a lot of faith in him to go out there and make it happen. He's done some mystical, magical things in the past. So hopefully he has a few tricks left up his sleeve for this offseason. And, I think that we can definitely acquire a great quarterback like Aaron Rodgers and also retain players and, even look to improve in some other spots like safety, just off the top of my head.
Yep. That's great breakdown, man. This free agency is going to be so intriguing to figure out what's going to happen on that front, man. And free agency starts next week. And I feel like this is the first offseason where I'm not really as tuned in to like where the Jets are going in free agency because of the reason of we're so wired in and focusing on the quarterback search with that being in Aaron Rodgers. And we don't know when it's going to be announced. There are some rumors actually that even if Aaron Rodgers decides to come to the Jets and the Jets and the Packers agreed on a trade, it cannot be announced until a week from today, the 15th. Oh, God, I can't wait that long. It's like, what? Even if, I don't know if that's true, to be honest. I don't know if anyone has more.
Remember, there's been a couple big trades and it doesn't be official until the actual free agency week.
But like, can we get news though that it's happening?
Yeah. You can get the news, but it won't get official.
All right, give me the news at least.
Yeah,
right?
you're getting the news for it.
Give me the news, Rodgers. I mean, why are you gonna retire? It's gonna be really. This is the reason why I don't think he's gonna retire. He's gonna leave $60 million on the table. He's not doing it. Come on, Rodgers wants that 60 mil, right? Like he wants to play. He's in the darkness.
I have a question for you guys. So if we do trade for Rodgers, okay, he's on our team. Would you do any type of other trades for like a wideout or anything like that? Like, would you think this team would go out and get maybe like a Hopkins or like even a Mike Evans to get weapons for him? Because there could be a lot of wideouts available. I mean, I think Sutton's also available. There's 3 top wideouts available. So do you think they would even try and see if they can pull the trigger to, get another wideout on this team?
I personally don't think so. I think it's, you can argue why it would be a good idea, but I also think like obviously Garrett Wilson has proved himself to be a bona fide number 1 receiver based off his, rookie year performance alone. I think that, Elijah Moore's potential is still through the roof and still relatively untapped. I don't want to overcrowd this wide receiver room too much and, have Elijah Moore get all bitchy again. And then we get Garrett Wilson upset. And obviously that shouldn't have happened to begin with. I still, hold a little bit of a grudge towards Elijah Moore for that as we were in the middle of winning games. But nonetheless, I think that would be a misallocation of resources, honestly. We need help in different areas, whereas in the wide receiver room, we have very good to great young talent already that I think Aaron Rodgers, would be hyped to throw the ball. I think Elijah Moore and Garrett Wilson are both better than any receiver that the Packers had last year. So, Christian Watson kind of came along, towards the end of the year. Lazard is, a kind of average guy, but I think Garrett Wilson is, an elite receiver, at least on his way to becoming a truly elite receiver in the NFL. And I don't think Elijah Moore is that far behind him. Elijah Moore has been egregiously misused, in the Mike LaFleur scheme, and I don't want to exclusively blame Mike LaFleur for that. We haven't had a quarterback either. So the fact that Garrett Wilson has proved that he could be a great player with the shitty quarterbacks that have been thrown in the ball. I, along with many others, I think both of you included, still see that untapped potential in Elijah Moore. I think that, I think the wide receiver room is just fine, personally.
Yeah, I think if I want the Jets to add another big-time receiver, I'd rather it not be a trade for someone like D-Hop or Evans or any of those guys. I'd want them to acquire it through the draft, like a big-time receiver, like JSN or someone like that, because I do think that they should add another receiver to this team, especially if you're moving on from Corey Davis, because the more weapons, the better. But I don't think that, putting your resources in a guy like D-Hop or Mike Evans or, Sutton, you can definitely sell me on, just because it's kind of like it won't cost that much. And he fills the void for Corey Davis perfectly, because he's more of that big body physical receiver that you need in that position. But the idea of drafting a receiver is more in the lines of the vision of Joe Douglas, because he's drafted a receiver high every single draft so far. His 3 draft classes, he's drafted a receiver in the second or first round every single year. So I think that's what's going to happen, depending on the capital we give up, obviously. But like, if he wants to get crazy and draft another high receiver in the first or even second round and pair him up with Garrett Wilson, because you also got to think of it this way. Elijah Moore is great, and I love him, and I think he's going to be good, but we only have 2 more years of control of him. Denzel Mims, he's young. He hasn't really proved his worth. We only have 1 more year of control with him. We have Garrett Wilson for another 4 years. So you want to stay young and cheap at that position, which is why I'd prefer the Jets to get another receiver in the draft, because, I don't know. I mean, it really depends on where the Jets go, but I don't know if the Jets, and I know this is, a year from now, but I don't think they're looking at extending Elijah and paying him money. So I could see Elijah potentially moving after his rookie deal, unfortunately. So that tells me I'd want them to draft a receiver now, because then that pairs up Garrett Wilson and that young receiver as our duo for the future. But if Elijah Moore is that guy, sign me up, because I think he still has that untapped potential. I still think he's that guy. And just having 2 years with him, I want to make sure this wide receiver room continues to be young and fresh and cheap, because that's what the greatest teams do. They don't rely on getting, you could say getting a big receiver can change everything. The Dolphins get Tyreek, their offense changed. The Eagles gets A.J. Brown, that offense changed. And which is why it kind of swing me in the direction of, okay, wait, maybe if we do add another elite receiver, because think of it in this perspective. The Miami Dolphins had Jalen Waddle, who they drafted top 10. He was their number 1 receiver as a rookie, elite. Well, they weren't content. They went out there and they got Tyreek Hill. Philadelphia Eagles, they drafted Devontae Smith, elite receiver as a rookie. Oh, well, we're going to pair him up with A.J. Brown. And look what the offense did. So if the Jets do want to get crazy, and they do see a wide receiver become available in the market, and they want to have the most weapons possible and have a trio of Garrett Wilson and a big-time receiver with Elijah Moore, with the depth of Denzel Mims and maybe Braxton Berrios, yeah, I mean, that would be freaking awesome, not going to lie, as Elijah Moore in the slot with Garrett Wilson and that another star receiver on the other outside. Whew, that would be freaking pretty wild. But because you saw what A.J. Brown did to the Eagles. You saw what Tyreek Hill did to the Dolphins, even though they already had their number 1 receiver through the draft, like we do with Garrett Wilson. So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. So to answer your question, Ali, I'd like them to draft a receiver, preferably high. But if they go out there and get a big-time receiver, I'm not going to complain, because it's proven that a big-time veteran that's ready to win right now, to go out there and take this offense to another level, especially with a win-now team with Aaron Rodgers, it can definitely elevate this offense to another freaking level, because the running back position we don't have to worry about as much. It's all about the offensive line and then filling in the void of 1 more receiver. And I can also see them just going the solid route. Like, all right, let's just bring in a Lazard. Like, Lazard's not that elite guy. He's more of a solid receiver. But the market for Lazard is interesting, because he's going to ask for a lot more money than I think he's worth, because that's just how the market works. And that's why I kind of prefer Corey Davis over Lazard, because Corey Davis is cheaper, and I think he could be just as good. So that's really where it comes down to for my front on the wide receiver position, and we'll see what happens. I think that adding a big-time receiver, you can sell me on that, or just going through the draft, that would be great as well, because staying young is staying with that long-term perspective is going to be really, really important. So, guys, we are an hour past this live stream. I do want to say thank you all for tuning in. This has been the Aaron Rodgers Watch. We're going to be doing this every day until he comes here.
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, man, if you're watching this stream, which I know you're not, just freaking come to the Jets, man. We all want you, bro. Like,
imagine he's been watching the whole time, and he's like, when he finally signs, the reporter's like, so ultimately, what made you decide to pick the Jets as your next team? Well, I was watching this live stream on a Wednesday afternoon, and these kids were just, really passionate about the team and everything like that. And I just, what if we made it happen? You guys heard it here first. If Aaron Rodgers signs with the Jets, it was because of this live stream.
And he saw all your guys' thoughts in the chat. He saw all the hate. He saw all the love. So thank you. Let's go. If Aaron Rodgers was watching right now, Jack, what would you say to him?
I would say, Aaron, I've been rooting against you for years because I have family in Wisconsin.
Screw your
But
family.
the second they but the second you become a member of the squad, woo, we're in there. It's the ultimate hypocrisy of a sports fan. You could hate somebody for years. Not that I ever hated Aaron Rodgers, but it's just fun to talk crap to my family members that live out there. But Aaron, if you're out there listening, we got the talent on the offensive side of the ball. We have a better defense than you've ever had in Green Bay. This is the time. You want another Super Bowl? You want to be one of the few quarterbacks to win a Super Bowl with more than one team? You want to be the third guy to do it? This is your opportunity.
Ali, what was your sales pitch be to Aaron Rodgers if he's listening?
Obviously, I enjoy you as a quarterback. I enjoyed you winning ball games. I understand that taxes are going to be an issue, and then that was an issue for a lot of players coming to New York. But you're going to have so many sponsors that are going to avoid that completely. You'll be the face of New York.
Get a Jets guy back on commercials. Sorry to cut you off, but I feel like I've been seeing just Giants players for the last decade.
He will literally be on a commercial.
Can we get a Jets guy back in a nationally syndicated commercial?
He'll be sponsored like crazy. Like literally every commercial will be about him. And literally all the ads in New York City is literally going to be him. So if you want to come and be that guy in New York, and if you win something here, you will be a legend. You will be the absolute legend. There'll be jerseys everywhere of just you. So if you want to win, you want a fan base that loves you, come to New York.
We're going to have like craziness happens. If he comes here and wins, like even a playoff game, we're going to have people like just crowning him as the savior. Even if
we're going to build a statue.
If he just gets us to a AFC championship game, if he wins us a Super Bowl, I'm getting his face tattooed on my face, holy crap. I mean, this is awesome. This is freaking awesome, man. It's a lot of fun. It's fun to just come out here and give our sales pitch because this is exactly what Saleh and Douglas just did, right? Like we're pretending to be the Jets brass and giving the sales pitch. What would the Jets bring to the table for Aaron Rodgers and the marketability, the big market, the fan base, not to mention the whole team around him. I mean, it's obvious and it's fun too because there's not really a lot of teams that make sense for Rodgers besides the Jets because of the youth talent that we have, and there is a window. And the Jets' window to win is right now. And we haven't said that in a while. Usually the window's been down the line. Oh, yeah, in a year or two, we'll be ready to go. In 2 years, 2 or 3 years, yeah, right? That's been the narrative for so long. Well, that's no longer. It's today. This is the window. It's wide open. Having the rookie class last year, doing what they did, being on cheap deals, the time is now, and I'm ready for it, baby. I'm freaking ready for it. I believe it's going to happen. And when it does happen, it's going to be a huge, huge success amongst the fan base of celebrating, and we'll be ready to go for the season. And we're going to make some freaking noise, and we're going to let people know that the Jets are freaking back. Yes, we're freaking back, baby, with Aaron Rodgers. So that's going to wrap up the show. We are 69 minutes into the show. So that's nice. And if you guys enjoyed us begging for Rodgers coming in, we appreciate that. If you are hating on us, we appreciate the hate because without the hate, none of this is possible. So keep it coming. It fuels me. It fuels all the streams. It fuels life. Yin and yang, baby. So hit that thumbs up button if you did not already. Any last words from you guys? Because we're going to be doing this Aaron watch party every day.
Thanks for having me on, man. It's been a minute since I've been on the channel, and it's always a pleasure to interact with not only you guys, but with the chat. Yeah, let's see Aaron Rodgers become a New York Jet, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, again, Richie, thanks for having me on. It's been a while since we've all been on here, but it's good to be back.
Man,
and hopefully, I mean, Jets fans, don't be scared, man. If he's coming, he's coming, and if he does, we are playoff contenders. So, and even championship contenders. So, just pray that it comes through and he makes up his mind, and the New York Jets have a quarterback.
Well, I couldn't agree more, man. Let's hope that it happens, and let's go freaking Jets. When the news does break, notice how I said when. I'll be live first, baby. Let's go. Love you guys. And Jets, Aaron Rodgers, pull up, baby.
Bills are ass.